Webzine is back again with Webisode number 123. Today, Rhino and I are talking with the legendary bouncer and soundman himself, Frank the Tank Trocki.
That's it. That's a
What's
me.
up, Frank? How you doing today,
Oh,
sir?
nothing much. Just laying around, taking it easy. Had a hard weekend.
I can only imagine. I can only
Yeah,
imagine.
but I had I did a show, two shows, Saturday and Sunday, for a thing called Stand Stock, where they have a musical thing all day long. It was at Falston Barrel House, and I had the outside. That was brutal, man, brutal. It was hot, sticky, you know, but a lot of good bands. A lot of good bands.
Good cause.
Yeah, good calls too.
Hey, there's nothing wrong with that. Sometimes you gotta have a fundraiser, or you gotta have bands that are gonna help with the fundraiser, give it
Right,
their earnings.
right.
So that's a
That's
good.
very true. That's
Well,
very
Frank,
true.
the first question I
Yeah.
would like to ask you is, how did you get involved in being a sound man? And also, how did you get involved being a bouncer?
Well, I got out of high school in 1973, and I went to this club called the Seagull Inn. But back then, you didn't have to be 21. They changed it for 21 to 18 years old to go drink. So I went in there, me and my buddy, and we're standing on the side. And we see this girl dump a pitcher of beer on this guy, and so he took off running after her. So I said, "Come on, Dave, let's go see what's going on here," And we turned the corner, and he's got her pinned up against the wall by her throat with his fist balled up, ready to nail her, right? And so what I did was I went over there and grabbed his arm. And back then, I was pretty physically fit. Uh, and when I grabbed his arm, he couldn't move it. And then he turned around, started yelling and screaming at me, and started spitting at me. I told him, I said, "You spit at me one more time." I said, "I'm going to wipe these tables out with you." And he did. And I wiped the tables out, and the bouncers come over, and the girls, told him that I was protecting her from getting hit in the face by this big guy. And the owners come over and said, "Hey, you want a job?" I said, "Doing what?" He said, "Just what you just did right now." I said, "Okay, yeah, how much?" And this is back in 73 now. They were giving me $40 a night back in 73 to be a bouncer. I said, "All right." So that's what I did. I did that for quite a few years. And then how I got to be a sound engineer was I took an apprenticeship in at a studio called RMT Recording Studios. And the guy left me there to record this band that was coming in and everything. So I did. And the band didn't like what I did. They said it was too live, it didn't sound studio. They wanted a studio sound. And so the owner told me, he said, "Frank, I think you have a niche to be a live engineer doing sound out on the road or something, because this sounds like perfect for you, if you're doing live sound." It was like a live recording here. It was good. He said, "I think that's what your niche is going to be." And so I stayed there for a little while, learned some ins and outs on the board, and said, "Okay, well, I guess it's time for me to go and try to do something on my own, being a sound engineer for bands." And that's what I did. That's how it started for me. That was back in 70, 76, I believe it was, when I left there to start doing my own thing with sound.
That's really
And I've
amazing.
been doing it ever since.
That's really great. I've never heard any of the sound that you've done, but maybe someday in life I will.
I hope you do, man. I hope you do, really. I
Yeah.
mean, there's like Unleash the Archers. They liked what I did for them when they played at the place that I was doing sound at, and managing and booking bands. So I mean, they liked what I was doing. And a lot of the metal bands said, "You don't even know our music, and how the hell are you making us sound this good?" You know, I said, "It's all in the heart, dude. You know, that's where it comes from me, is my heart. You know, I love music. I don't care what kind it is, you know, and I go with my heart and my gut feeling of what to do, when to do it, and how to do it.
That's really
Uh,
smart.
you know, so they couldn't
I got
have.
a oh,
Go
sorry.
ahead.
I got
Go
a
ahead, bro.
fun question for you, Frank.
What's that,
What are the
buddy?
weirdest things you found after a show?
A girl laying behind your car.
Oh yeah.
That sounds
Anything
like
else
an
crazy
interesting
left
story.
behind the stage, or
Huh?
anything crazy like you found behind the stage or anything?
No, I don't think
No?
so. No, I found an amplifier,
Yeah.
Marshall. I found a really nice pedal board that probably sold for about $1,000 that somebody just left there and never come to pick it up.
That's right. I remember that. And you put ads on the page too. We
Yes,
found this. We found this.
yeah, and nobody come to pick it up or say it's mine and I'll hold it for them, or anything like that, So I wound up selling it. I got like $400 for it.
My,
You know, I mean,
what
it's their loss, my gain.
do you think the weirdest request was you ever got from a band that you were doing sound for?
Why isn't they said to me, how come my microphone's not working? The request was make it work. I said I can't make it work. It ain't working. It's a piece of junk. So I mean, use my microphone. It works. You plug my microphone in, it works. You plug his in, it don't work. So what are you going to do? You know. But I think that was the weirdest request. To be honest with you,
Fix it.
trying to make
No,
something work that didn't work.
it worked before we left.
Yeah,
It's
before.
always,
Yeah, right.
Yeah, we can't all, snap our fingers like Elizabeth Montgomery from Bewitched.
Well, hell
Oh, there
no.
you go. It's working. Or you teleport, or you wiggle your nose and you're in your neighbor's
Yeah,
backyard.
I did have one band say to me, "How come all the other bands sound really good? We didn't sound that good." I said, "Well, I don't have $1 million worth of equipment here to make you sound good." So I mean, I could only do so much. You give me shit, that's what you're going to get out of shit. You give me good stuff, then I can make it work. Or even mediocre stuff, I can make it work. But if you give me junk, man, it ain't going to work. That's all to it.
One of the questions that I had for you, Frank, is
Yes, sir.
have you ever had any bands complain to you that the sound sucks, or say they don't like the way that a certain effect is, like too much reverb or too much tape echo or whatever?
I've had that occasionally. Bands said that it was too much delay or too much reverb, like you're saying. But I only had one band that said that my monitor system sucked. Now, mind you, I got all Yamaha monitors, and I had like 700 watts going to each one, and they said he couldn't hear my monitors. They suck. I said, well, if you would turn down a little bit and try to stop outdoing the PA system, which you'll never do. Now that I had 10,000 watts on my PA system, I said, you're never going to get past that 10,000 watts. Never. So if you would just bring it down, and let the monitors do work. You need some of your guitar in that monitor, I could do that. But no, that he want to play louder and louder and louder. So I just turned them off. That's all. Yeah.
I would have done the same thing and looked at him like, "Why up?"
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, Marshall's only go to 10. He was trying to get 11 and a half out of it. So
I wonder what other bright ideas that guy came up with.
so
none really. After that, we start doing a measurement thing where when they were getting ready to do a sound check, I had Brian go up there with my frequency count meter and my DB meter, and it would tell them, look, Brian, this is how much they got to give me. If they got to give more than that, they're not going to be in. That's all to it, you know. So Brian had to go up there and make sure that they stayed within the DB limit that I said to be. And if they didn't like it, oh well, you know, that's the way I wanted it. I'm not blowing up my equipment just to please them. You know, equipment's too expensive.
Yeah. Can you tell us a little bit about the legendary Hammerjacks days?
Oh my God, that was some nice days, man. I'm telling you, wild days, nice looking women that work there. Um, I've I got to meet so many people. Steve Whiteman, I've known for 30 years now. You know, I mean, from
Kicks,
Kicks,
yeah.
you know, and known him for 30 years. You know, Brian Forsythe, same thing with him. He plays in Kicks. I've known him for just as long as I've known Steve, you know, and guys, Steve from Silver Tongue and all the rest of them. I mean, Silver Tongue came along a little later on in time, but at that time I was working at the zoo when it come around. But I got to meet Jack Russell from Great White, Gary Sharon, uh, quite a few different other people, people um, that I've got to meet, and it was great time. I was only there for a little bit of time because they were flying in a new guy from the sound company that was put into there, and I stood up for a little while. You know, like about I guess it was about almost 6 months I was there, and then when he got there after he had closed out his other job, um, then he come in and then he took over, and I left Hammerjacks at that point, and then I went work, you know, at other different nightclubs, you know. So, but as far as there was a lot of great guys there that I miss, a lot of girls there that work there. I miss. I see one, Janice Johnson, every now and then. She was the head bar tender there, and she's still a knockout. She's still a knockout.
So you mentioned the zoo, and I've heard a few bits of this about Gina Schock.
Oh yeah, she's a very good friend of mine. She
Specifically the
graduated.
zoo, yeah.
Yeah, she graduated in '74, and I graduated before she did. And I went to work on the waterfront because my father got me in there, and I went on the waterfront, and right next to the hiring hall, there was this little coffee shop there, like, you know, or sandwich shop, whatever you want to call it. And Gina was in there, you know, her and her mother, and I waited on by her, and we started talking and everything. And then I found out where she lived at, and you know, I started going over her house, and her parents loved me to death, you know, and we were like salt and pepper, man. You know, it was like, you know, we went together really good, you know. We were good friends, you know. We hung out, we went places together and everything, and then one day she says to me she's going to go California and be a rock star. I said, yeah, okay. You want to go with me? I said, no, I got a good job here. Why am I going to leave that? And then next thing you know, I get married. I'm watching MTV and I hear a new all-girl band, the Go-Go's. And I'm looking and looking. I'm saying, that's Gina. And so she made it, you know.
Wow.
And then she come to the zoo with Sarah Gilbert.
Roseanne.
And then she come up in my booth, her and Sarah Gilbert both, and she spun me around, gave me a big hug and a kiss, and people at the Raw Bar there were saying, "Oh, you do know her?" And Gina turns around and said, "What? You didn't believe him?" And they didn't answer. Well, she goes, "Well, if you didn't believe him, well, fuck you then," just like that, you know. You know, and she goes just like that to them. And she says, "Don't try to give me no CDs or cassettes. Or I don't want them. You didn't believe them? Fuck you!" Like that. I said, "Whoa," you know. And then Doug come over with $100 bill and asked, you know, Gina and Sarah Gilbert if they would sign a $100 bill for him, and they did. Made it out to him and all. And then Gene says, "Come on, Frank, let's go." I said, "I can't. I'm working." And Doug says, "Go ahead and go." I said, what are you talking about? I'm running sound. Let's go. She goes, "Is it okay? Can you just leave it the way it is and then just go?" I said, "Yeah, I can leave it like." I said, "But I'm going to lose the taste." He goes, "No, you're not. No, you're not." So they took me out. They took me away from there, and I had a good time, talking, carrying on, having a good time. Gina's one heck of a friend, man. She really is. I got to give it to her. We've been friends all these years, and we're still friends, still to this day.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
Looking for you,
She's.
Frank.
Oh, by the way, she is starting a band here in Maryland. She's getting away from the Go-Go's for a little bit and starting a band here in Maryland. It's called Shop School School Shop, no, something like that, something Shop. It's got to do with her last name, and she's forming a band. She's got all Baltimore guy bass band. All the guys that are playing in her band are from Baltimore here too, and she knows every one of them. And so they're all playing with her, trying to get this band together here in Maryland. She did one show with them at House of Rock. No, not the House of Rock. What's that one downtown, Brian?
Angels, Ram's Head,
No,
not
like the old
Soundstage.
power plant. The old power plant.
Oh, I can't even remember. That place changes so often.
Yeah, well, it's
Is it Power Plant Live?
No, it's not Power Plant Live. It's something rock. I can't remember.
Not Hard Rock.
Hard Rock Cafe. Yeah,
it is still that. Okay.
Yeah, and she had the thing there, and played and signed her book that she put out, and everything. And I wanted to go, but I had to work, so I told her if I could get there, I'll get there. If I can't, I'll be working. So I gave her where I was working. I said, "When you finish playing, come on down where I'm working at," because I was right there in Dundalk.
Right.
But she never showed up. But other things, go on when she's up there, playing and everything. So it's all good.
9-minute warning.
Oh yeah, yeah. Mm-hmm.
I got a question for you, Frank.
Yes, sir.
What's the craziest thing that you've ever seen happen to a fan or say a band member while performing? Like, say, for an example, somebody gets kicked in the face and then they got a broken eye socket or maybe a broken nose or a missing tooth.
The weirdest thing was at the Sparta Inn. This guy was swinging his fist all over the place in the pit. Hit this girl. I mean, knocked her for a little loop. And she wasn't no small girl either. And she gets up off the floor. Brian contested us, gets off the floor and decks this guy with one punch. Boom, done, out. No more. Lights out. Case over. That was the weirdest thing I've seen. That girl knocked him
out. So she pulled the plug.
Oh yeah. Yes, she did. That was the weirdest thing. I mean, there's a lot of cool stuff that I've seen happen, like at Hammerjacks when I was there, girls getting half naked and stuff like that. That's the cool thing about being a sound guy. Sometimes you see the good stuff, and a lot of times you don't see anything of it. You just see the back. I said, "Well, wait a minute. What about the sound guy?" And then they all start, pulling their shirts up, turn around, pull their shirts up at me. So, and I have a lot of good years doing this. I'm getting old now. Christ, I'll be 70 next year. So I'm running down quick.
I saw Danzig back in the mid '90s, and this girl stage dives, and I'm watching her, and as she's going across the pit, on top of the pit, she has less and less and less clothes on. I think all she had left were her underwear when she got down.
That would have been neat.
God.
Not today. That would have been sexual assault.
Yep, that's for sure. For sure it would have been.
What are some of the coolest compliments you've got?
I think the best compliment that I've ever gotten was from two different people. One was from Jack Russell, and the compliment was
You
him.
burned the house down. No, I'm kidding.
him and Sean, when Sean was alive in Corrupt. Him and Sean sang one of his songs together, "Save All Your Love," and it was for his wife. And he started crying on stage. Jack Russell did. And I went up to Jack after the show and I said, what was the matter? Did I do something wrong? You started crying up on stage. He said, "No, Frank, not at all. It sounded damn near close to what the record sounded like." He said, "You had the perfect delays. You had the perfect reverb. You had everything was perfect." And it filled me up to hear somebody do it the right way like that. And I said, "Well, I greatly appreciate that." He goes, "I got a sound guy. He can't touch you." That's how he put it. That was one of great, things that somebody has ever said to me the best compliment I've ever had. And the other one come from Bailey when he told everybody in the room. He said, "Frank, you got this sounding like an arena in here." That was another high point of my compliments, I would think.
Nice.
That's definitely a nice compliment.
Oh yeah, especially when it wasn't that big of a place. I mean, we had like what we have in there, Brian, 300 plus that night.
I don't think for that one. I wasn't there.
Well, I mean,
that's the one when
it would hold.
Yeah, we had 300 for Unleash the Archers, probably 300 for Pessimist.
Pessimist, right? Yeah, but for that size of a place, they said I had it sound like an arena, and that was one of the other good compliments I've gotten that I cherish.
Yeah,
especially from somebody that sang for Iron Maiden, for Christ's sake,
Yeah, Bailey. I haven't heard that name in quite some time.
He hits me up every Christmas and wishes me a very Merry Christmas.
That's excellent, dude.
So I mean, it's pretty cool.
I got a friend that lives in Scotland. His name's Liam Rogers. He used to write for Metal Maniacs. He's met Bruce Dickinson. He's met Blaze. I'm like,
right.
How do you get to meet all these really well-known metalheads or metal musicians? He's like, "Oh, you just got to be at the right place or at the right time. You got to book something in advance." It's like, well, I guess that makes sense. Kind of like when I met Cannibal Corpse outside of Northern Lights in Albany,
right?
And now it's called Empire or something or some shit. I don't know what it was called.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, a lot of people miss Northern Lights.
Yeah.
Who was it? Chuck from Incantation. He's like, "I'm at a rest stop and somebody recognizes me and has my CDs to sign."
I think it was Chuck. Yeah, because just waiting for that right moment,
At a rest stop. Yeah.
That's cool. That's very cool there.
That's a little creepy.
I don't think so. No, that's the guy's following him around.
Yeah, he's probably hiding inside the corner of the bathroom, just like, "I don't want to be scared. I don't want to talk to him like they know." But then can I get your autograph, dude? It's like,
oh shit! I didn't take my head warmer off.
Oh yeah, it looked like you. Let's say you put on another one.
From one hairpiece to the next.
Yeah, now he's a cab driver.
That hat right there compliments you, Rhino. We used to call him beatniks back in the day.
Yeah, Toby Gillis. That I bet you don't know who he is, do you?
Who's that?
Toby Gillis.
I've heard the name. You said Toby Gillis, right?
Dobie.
Oh,
D-O. Yeah, he was a character on a show. He was like a beatnik guy. And years later, after that show, I can't remember the name of the show, so don't try to even ask me that because I don't know. I don't remember it. I think it was called Dobie Gillis at the time. But after he got off of that show, he went on another show called Gilligan's Island.
oh, okay.
And he was Gilligan.
Oh, that's who that was.
Yeah. He played the piece of Dobie Gillis.
That's cool.
A lot of people don't know that, you know.
You know, speaking of TV shows, there's a new one that came out. I don't know if you had heard about it. It's a gay sitcom. It's called Leave It. It's Beaver.
Well,
Oh,
Sorry, I had to throw that in there.
that's all well and good, you know. That's all well and good.
Well, we got a few seconds left.
All righty.
Got a couple last questions here for you, Frank. Because like I said,
All righty.
I don't have too much time today.
Okay.